Imagine for a moment that you're invited to remove the mask you wear every day, even if just for a minute. Picture stepping into a quiet space where there's no need to perform, only to discover what truth really feels like from within. In that safe, uncluttered space, you might ask yourself, what would it mean to show every part of who I truly am? Hello, and welcome to TruceTalk. I'm Lindsay, your certified clinical hypnotherapist and hypnotherapy instructor at the Lindsay Morgan Clinical Hypnotherapy Institute. Today, as we explore this question, I want us to begin by defining a concept that touches all of us: hypocrisy. By examining its definitions as they have evolved in different cultures, we can see that hypocrisy, not as a single isolated fault, but as a complex tapestry woven of our attempts to balance inner truths and outward appearances. Now, whether it's the Spanish hipócrita or the Chinese Wei Junzi or Hindi Pakhandi or the Arabic Munfe Munafik, or perhaps the French hypocrite. Each definition offers a unique insight into how society views the disconnect between our inner values and our external behavior. Let us start our journey by exploring these rich, culturally informed definitions, and then consider what it means to live genuinely and how we might all, in some way, bridge the gap between what we feel and what we show. The concept of hypocrisy exists in all cultures, but its nuances are shaped by historical, philosophical, and linguistic influences. And here's how each of these languages may define hypocrite based on the cultural context they evolved from. Spanish-speaking cultures, particularly influenced by Catholicism and historical notions of honor, often view hypocrisy as a betrayal of authenticity. A hypocrita is someone who professes virtue while acting in contradiction to their beliefs, often associated with moral duplicity or deceit for personal gain. In Chinese culture, shaped by Confucianism, hypocrisy, which Jinzi translates as false gentleman. Confucian ideals emphasize sincerity, harmony, and duty. So a hypocrite is not merely someone who acts dishonestly, but is seen as a profound disruption to societal order. A person who pretends to be noble, but whose actions contradict their virtue. Pakhandi, rooted in Hindu philosophical traditions, Pakhandi carries a strong religious connotation, referring to someone who pretends to be pious or virtuous while secretly acting against ethical or dharmic principles. In Indian society, hypocrisy is often viewed through the lens of deception in spiritual or social contexts. Munafiq in Arabic-speaking cultures, especially influenced by Islamic theology, munafiq originates from religious texts describing individuals who outwardly claim faith, but inwardly reject it. Hypocrisy is thus often considered a severe form of dishonesty with deep spiritual implications, denoting someone whose words and deeds fundamentally conflict. French culture, heavily influenced by philosophical skepticism and notions of authenticity, defines hypocrite as someone who feigns virtue or goodness while acting otherwise. Rooted in the word's Greek origin, hypocrite meaning actor, or historically emphasized false appearances and insincerity in social and political spheres. So you see, dear listeners, each culture frames hypocrisy in ways that reflect its moral, religious, and societal values. Some defined it primarily in moral terms, others as a failure of duty, and others as a profound spiritual flaw. This diversity highlights how language and cultural heritage shape perceptions of human behavior. So when we synthesize the culturally informed definitions of hypocrisy from the Spanish hipocrita to the Chinese wejunzi and the Hindi pakhandi, or the Arabic munafiq, or the French hypocrite, a number of common characteristics emerge that describe the stereotypical textbook or textbook hypocrite. Let me share with you some key features as you take a deep breath duality of appearance and action. A classic hypocrite publicly espouses high moral or ethical standards while privately engaging in behaviors that starkly contradict these proclaimed values. They craft an external facade of virtue, often to gain social approval or personal advantage, while their actions betray a hidden agenda. Insincerity and lack of authenticity, whether referred to as hipocrita in Spanish or munafiq in Arabic, the typical hypocrite is characterized by a profound insincerity. Their words are not backed by genuine feelings, dear listeners. They may adopt a false gentleman or false lady persona, as the Chinese term implies, masking their true dispositions with pretense. This insincerity undermines trust and tarnishes the best of relationships when their true nature is finally revealed, especially in business relationships, particularly when a death occurs of a loved one of either parties involved. You might have experienced this just as I have recently. Manipulative use of moral language. The hypocrite is adept at using refined, often lofty language as a tool to mask their real intentions. They're usually well versed in expected norms, be they religious, social, or political, and use this knowledge to articulate proclamations of virtue. And in doing so, they manipulate the moral and ethical expectations of their community to serve self-interest. And then there's the exploitation of social norms. Because in many cultural contexts, such as those reflected in the Hindi concept of pakhandi and the French understanding rooted in the classical skepticism, emphasize that the hypocrite exploits the values of their society by pretending to conform to them. This exploitation is a means to gain credibility, power, or material advantage without bearing the costs of true virtuous behavior. Which brings us to emotional and intellectual dissonance. Because at its core, hypocrisy involves the profound mismatch between inner beliefs and outward displays, doesn't it? The textbook hypocrite is not simply mistaken. No, They are consciously aware of their duplicity, yet choose to present an image that is inconsistent with their private actions. This calculated inconsistency leads to a form of identity fragmentation, where the persona shown to the world is deliberately divorced from the true self, which is the reason why I'm talking about this today. Social consequences and moral judgment. Because across different cultures, being labeled a hypocrite carries significant moral weight. Whether it's the betrayal of authenticity highlighted in Spanish context, or the severe spiritual denunciation implied by Arabic and Hindi usage, the hypocrite is generally viewed as someone who not only deceives others, but in doing so, undermines the ethical fabric of society. You see, my heart broke again into a million pieces as I sat and listened to someone recently explain to me about a particular hypocrite that they have been subjected to. And in summary, this stereotypical textbook hypocrite is someone who masterfully performs a dual act, publicly embracing commendable values and virtues while covertly operating out of self-interest or even immorality. They are sincere, manipulative, and exploit the trust of others through artifice, creating an internal conflict that ultimately leads to social disillusionment when their duplicity is uncovered. And although my descriptions, while rooted in each culture's unique historical and ethical perspectives, shares a universal condemnation of deception, a reminder that authenticity is best valued across cultures, and that a true commitment to one's stated principles is what defines genuine character, ma'am or sir. Now that's a lot to digest. So I'd like you to take in a deep and slow breath. And I would like anyone who has had to deal with anyone that caused them to experience inauthenticity to acknowledge the pain of hypocrisy and allow me to guide you towards integrating all parts of yourself, evoking vivid sensory experiences to help you facilitate change. Now, as you settle in, allow your eyes to gently close. I want you to begin noticing the natural rhythm of your breathing. You might begin to notice the subtle sensation of the cool air touching your nostrils as you inhale, and the warm, soft air as you exhale. And with every breath, notice how you feel ever so slightly more and more relaxed, safe, and open. Imagine now that you're standing at the entrance of a beautiful secret garden, a place that exists just for you. Notice the soft, textured path under your feet, the light that filters through gently rustling leaves, and the delicate fragrance of blossoms and the gentle breeze. With every step you take along this path, you begin to feel more and more relaxed, more at ease, so relaxed that your mind effortlessly lets go of all the burdens of the day. Perhaps you notice the sound of a quiet, distant stream, its gentle trickle inviting you to simply be here now. Each sound and each scent softly reinforces that you are safe and that you are beginning to open to new possibilities. Possibilities that allow every part of you to exist in harmony without judgment. Every step further along this enchanting path brings you deeper and deeper into a state of calm. And as you traverse this inner landscape, you might notice a small mirror standing quietly near a stone bench. Its surface shimmers with a subtle, inviting glow. This mirror, you may realize, is not a judge. Rather, it is a tool that gently reflects back to you every nuance of your inner being. Both parts you readily show the world and the parts that you sometimes hide away. Parts that might have once felt like contradictions in your life. Now, while you gaze into this mirror, allow yourself to notice any subtle discrepancies. Perhaps in the mirror's reflection, there's an image of yourself that seems divided. One side radiating warm, genuine light, and another side that appears dim, maybe cloaked in shadows. Without any effort, just observe as these two images exist, side by side. Perhaps your mind softly whispers that there is no need to force them apart, but that with time, both sides can melt gently together into one authentic, cohesive self. Imagine that as you breathe in the sweet, fragrant air, you gather the scattered pieces of your inner world. Feel the cool, refreshing air as it flows through, carrying any tension or dissonance. And as you exhale, feel a release, a gentle letting go of the need to hide behind another mask, the letting go of any compulsion to appear in a way that doesn't match what you feel deep within. You can begin to wonder if perhaps these shadows are simply messages from a part of you that has been longing to be seen, to be understood, a part that knows that real strength comes not from pretending to be something you're not, but from the honest, full expression of every aspect of who you are. Each time you repeat this process of deep, mindful breathing, you allow the hidden parts to softly emerge in an accepting and nurturing way. And perhaps you begin to notice a new sensation, a profound warmth radiating across your chest as the two images in the mirror gently begin to blend. This warmth, like the golden rays of a late afternoon sun, envelops you completely and reminds you that the true power lies in embracing all of yourself. Maybe you even start to hear a soft, distant melody echoing in the garden, a sound that seems to affirm your inner journey toward wholeness. This music, gentle and unhurried, supports you in realizing that over time, the voice that once forced you to wear a false mask slowly recedes, replaced by a resonant, authentic tone that is entirely your own. As you stand there in that safe and sacred garden of your inner being, you may gradually come to see that every part of you is valuable. Each breath, each sound, each sight in this garden gently encourages you to be true to yourself. Imagine that you are soothing the very edges of old beliefs, allowing a new understanding to take root in your heart. A renewed sense of authenticity grows quietly in the warmth of this inner light, one that no longer demands you to hide, but instead invites you to share your complete, genuine self with the world. Now, from this moment forward, every time you notice yourself caught between what you say and what you truly feel, you will recall the gentle imagery of this garden, the vivid colors, the sweet aromas, the comforting sounds, and the feeling of warmth that brings harmony to your inner mirror. And with each recollection, you will find it easier to align your outer actions with your inner truth. Allow these sensations to integrate deeply as the embers of genuine self-acceptance glows steadily inside you. You might even notice that as you continue on your path, the language of inauthenticity softly exits, replaced by a heartfelt dialogue between your mind and your spirit, one based on honesty, deep self-respect, and the joy of celebration of who you really are. Now, gently begin to bring your awareness back to the room, carrying with you all the warmth, new insights you have embraced. Notice again the comfortable weight of your body, the sound of your breath, and the peaceful glow that remains in your heart. When you are ready, count slowly from 1 to 5. With each count, feel yourself becoming more and more alert, fully grounded and whole. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Open your eyes, feeling refreshed, authentic, and ready to step into your world, bringing your genuine self forward with confidence and integrity. Know that you can return to this inner garden at any time. A place of healing, acceptance, and unity, where every part of you is honored. And as you go through your day, you might find that the urge to present a false facade softens, replaced by a slowly emerging, powerful authenticity that enriches every moment of your life. I've worked with many licensed mental health counselors and licensed marriage and family therapists and social workers in hypnosis over the years. And a lot of them have explained to me many things. And after listening to that brief meditation, I explained to the counselors that they can use it as a form of self-hypnosis or guided self-reflection to explore any inner divisions or incongruences between their values and behaviors. I explained to them that it offers a way to notice when they might be performing a role that isn't fully authentic, and that by repeatedly visiting the imagery of the inner garden, the mirror that reflects both the hidden and the visible self, and the blending of separate parts into a cohesive whole, that they, the counselor, cultivates a deeper sense of self-awareness. I explained to them that this process can lead to personal growth, reduced internal conflict, and a stronger alignment between their professional values and personal identity. And I explained to them that this is essential for maintaining their integrity and reducing burnout. Enhancing their empathy and their therapeutic presence, if it can be applied to that. And I said that as mental health care professionals, they as counselors are often engaged in deep relational work with their clients. And when they experience a therapeutic process themselves, such as a journey from internal conflict to integration, they can foster greater empathy for clients who struggle with similar issues of inauthenticity or self-alienation. And that experience in the process firsthand can enrich the counselor's ability to relate to clients, offering them a model of vulnerability and transformation, which can deepen the therapeutic alliance. I explained to them also that if they're going to be modeling and teaching hypnotic techniques, that this brief meditation demonstrates techniques that leverage sensory-rich imagery and indirect suggestions, and that they as a counselor can adapt these elements into their therapeutic toolkit by either using self-hypnosis sessions, which I can teach them or have taught some of them, or by guiding clients through similar exercises. For example, the structured breathing combined with affirmations can be taught as a mindfulness tool to help clients manage anxiety or internal conflicts. And I've referred them to our website where they can download the hypnotic audio recordings that I've recorded for them. They can use those to transcribe and customize them for their own client script. And I made the price only $20 so that they can truly invest in themselves. And I explained to them that this approach is especially valuable when working with individuals who struggle with inner duplicity or who present a facade of confidence that masks deeper insecurities. And several therapists has asked me about integrating hypnotic practices into their clinical interventions. And I explained that if they're already trained in the TruceTalk clinical hypnotherapy method or other types of methods, that the models that I present to them and write gives gentle, permissive language and metaphorical imagery, which enforces the idea that change happens from within when an individual is in a relaxed, open state, and that they as counselors might integrate such language patterns as adjunct tools during therapy sessions, inviting clients to access their inner resources and harmonize their conflicting selves. Over time, these practices can empower clients to live more authentically and reduce their inner tension associated with hypocrisy. But I've also explained to many of them that they want to also make sure that they're fostering a consistent professional presence, and that practicing that brief meditation regularly helps them as a counselor maintain mental clarity and emotional congruence, which, as you all know, is essential for effective professional presence. As they become more attuned to their inner state, recognizing when they are wearing masks or not fully aligned with their values, they can step back into mindfulness and authenticity before each session. This brief preparation not only benefits the counselor personally, but also ensures that their interactions with their clients are genuine, grounded, and free from self-doubt or internal conflict. So as a licensed mental health counselor, they can apply this hypnotic meditation as a transformative personal practice for self-integration and authenticity, as well as a clinical resource to enhance therapeutic presence and empathy. By engaging deeply with the sensory-rich imagery and metaphorical language that I use, they as counselors trains their subconscious to align their actions with their true values, thereby fostering a state of inner harmony that can profoundly inform and improve their professional work. Now, to the parents who came to me explaining that they had spoken with someone who had betrayed them, I explained that this type of meditation can become a deeply transformative personal practice that not only nurtures their own emotional well-being, but also enhances their relationship with their children. And I explained that by applying it in these ways, that they can apply its principles in everyday life. I explained that enhanced self-awareness and emotional regulation can be achieved by regularly listening or practicing that meditation. They, as parents, can become more attuned to the subtle cues of inauthenticity or internal conflict that may arise, especially in moments of stress, because the vivid imagery from the inner garden to the reflective mirror encourages self-exploration. I explained that when a parent feels overwhelmed or notices that they're slipping into behaviors that aren't aligned with their true values, for instance, reacting in ways that contradict the warm home environment they aim to create, they can pause, take a few deep and slow breaths, and remember the sensations of calm and integration evoked by the meditation. That this moment of mindful self-regulation can help them to center their emotions before responding to the day's challenges. And they can use it for modeling authentic behavior for their children. Because children learn a great deal by observing their parents, as we all know. And when a parent practices self-acceptance and works to bridge the gap between their inner truth and outward behavior, they model vulnerability and authenticity. This not only helps build trust with their children, but also teaches them an invaluable lesson. It is both safe and strong to acknowledge all parts of oneself. By embracing their own imperfections and striving for congruence between their words and actions, they, as the parent, sets an example that encourages children to be honest with themselves and others. And if there's stress in the home, they can use it for stress reduction and mindful parenting. Because as parenting, we know parenting is inherently demanding, often filled with unexpected challenges that can trigger impulsive reactions. But the sensory-rich language patterns that I use and the calming techniques in that meditation, such as the structured breathing, the soothing visual imagery of the garden, and the session of gentle reflection, provide tools for a parent to step back from reactive impulses. For example, if a parent finds themselves in a heated moment with a child, they can close their eyes, even briefly, use the deep, mindful breathing taught by the meditation I just expressed and explained, and reconnect with that sense of inner calm before continuing the interaction. This type of mindfulness not only helps diffuse immediate tension, but also fosters an environment where calm communication is the norm. And it can also be used for integration into daily routine and your family rituals. I explained that as a parent, she and he might choose to adapt elements of that meditation into a daily ritual. Perhaps a brief mindfulness or breathing exercise in the morning before bedtime even. By integrating a short version of my exercise, even children may be invited to join in. This creates a shared family moment of reflection that reinforces calm, consistency, and authenticity. It can be as simple as a minute of calm, where all family members take a few deep and slow breaths together, gently acknowledging their feelings, and then moving forward with a renewed sense of connection. I also explained that it also helps with informed decision-making and consistency in their parenting, especially when internal conflict or a sense of hypocrisy creeps in, like feeling pressured to project an image that isn't entirely true to oneself. A parent equipped with these techniques can realign before making decisions. Whether it's deciding on disciplinary methods, planning daily activities, or handling emotionally charged situations, a parent can use the sensory and reflective tools provided in the meditation to ensure that their responses come from a genuine place. Over time, this consistency can improve the overall quality of interactions with the family and build a stronger, more authentic home environment. I also explained to the weeping mother that in practice, a parent might hear that meditation or listen to it when feeling low or off balance, and that perhaps she or he could use the imagery and breathing exercises to recenter, and then step into the world guided by a newly aligned, authentic self. And that this new internal alignment not only improves their emotional landscape, but also enhances how they guide, support, and nurture their children, leading by example to create a family culture that values openness, resilience, and genuine connection. So as a parent, by applying the techniques that I've just demonstrated, you can nurture deeper self-awareness and emotional regulation for yourself, model authentic behavior for your children, reduce everyday stress, and generate consistent mindful presence that profoundly benefits your entire family. And to answer that weeping mother's question as to how her child, as a student, can apply that meditation to their everyday life, I explained to her that enhancing self-awareness and authenticity with this meditation invites you, the student, to enter a deeply relaxed state where the inner dialogue and imagery, like the reflective mirror in the inner garden, can help reveal hidden parts of yourself. Because for a student, this process can uncover areas where you might be acting contrary to your true values. For example, pretending to be overly confident to fit in with peers, or hiding your insecurities during class discussions. Regular practice helps you recognize these patterns and gently encourages you to integrate all aspects of yourself. With increased self-awareness, you begin to make choices that are more in harmony with your genuine feelings, building a solid personal foundation. And you can also use it for managing academic stress and exam anxiety, because the sensory-rich imagery and structured breathing techniques that I've just demonstrated serve as tools for emotional regulation. And as a student facing the pressure of exams, deadlines, or presentations, you can use a condensed version of that meditation to reset your nervous system. Or maybe before an exam, For instance, take a few minutes to close your eyes, breathe deeply, and allow the calm images to soothe your mind. This practice may reduce anxiety, helping you stay focused and perform at your best. And with everything happening lately in the news, you can also use it for building resilience in social and academic situations. Because as students, you often feel the need to adopt different personas to meet external expectations, whether for peer acceptance, teacher approval, or social media image. The meditation that I just demonstrated provides a metaphorical journey toward inner acceptance and alignment. And by experiencing the process, you learn that true strength comes from embracing your whole self rather than wearing a mask. And this can lead to more genuine interactions in group projects, class discussions, or even informal social settings, ultimately helping you build more meaningful relationships. And you can also use it for developing a regular mindfulness practice even. You might choose to integrate a brief version of my meditation into your daily routine. Perhaps as part of a morning reset or as a wind down before bed. A daily practice of reflection and deep breathing can particularly be beneficial in a student's life, where constant challenges and distractions are common. And over time, this practice not only reduces stress, but also increases your capacity to engage with your studies more thoughtfully and more creatively. And especially in preparing for public speaking and presentations, because many students, as we know, face anxiety with speaking in public, a situation where the fear of inauthenticity can be especially pronounced. You can use my meditation's guided imagery to picture yourself confidently and authentically delivering your presentation. The blend of sensory details and calming affirmations can help shift your focus from self-doubt to a state of readiness, enabling you to speak with clarity and genuine conviction. So, as a parent or as a student, you can use the TruceTalk meditative exercise that I just demonstrated to foster a greater sense of authenticity, manage academic pressures more effectively, and build resilience in both social and academic arenas. And by regularly practicing the self-guided imagery, the breathing techniques, and reflective exercises, you invite a more integrated and confident version of yourself into your daily activities, one that is fully aligned with your inner truths, which in turn enhances both your personal well-being and your academic performance. I'm Lindsay, your certified clinical hypnotherapist and certified hypnosis instructor. And as we bring this episode to a close, I'd like to thank you for engaging so openly and thoughtfully today. I hope you feel inspired and equipped with new insights and practical tools that empower you to embrace greater authenticity and inner alignment. Every step you take toward living your truth not only transforms your life, but also enriches the lives of those around you. And although what you shared with me and expressed to me is deeply troubling and an ordeal that no parent and no child should ever have to endure, I want you to remember that the journey toward real change is a process, one that starts with awareness, gentle acceptance, and the willingness to try new ways of being. I encourage you to carry the ideas and techniques that I've discussed with you into your everyday interactions, whether in professional or personal settings. You have the strength within you to overcome old patterns and to amplify your genuine self, bringing and building a life filled with resilience, connection, and purpose. Thank you for listening to TruceTalk. And thank you again for your time, your openness, and dedication. I truly believe in your capacity for growth and transformation, and I look forward to hearing about the positive progress each of you makes along your way. Have a wonderful day, and keep nurturing that spark of authenticity wherever you go. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the TruceTalk Hypnosis podcast. It's been an honor to share this space with you, to validate your experiences, and to offer hope for a brighter tomorrow. Remember, healing is a journey, and you don't have to walk it alone. If you're ready to take the next step, don't hesitate to visit us at www.trucetalk.com. Whether you want to schedule an appointment or share your story, I'm here for you. And for those of you navigating the Veterans Healthcare System, remember to request an authorization from your primary care provider to see me by name. If you found our conversation helpful, please take a moment to like, follow, and subscribe to the TruceTalk Hypnosis blog. Connect with us on Instagram at TruceTalk, and join our growing community on YouTube with #TruceTalk. Your support helps us reach more people who need to hear this message of hope and healing. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other. Remember, you are not alone, and together we can find peace and resilience through hypnotherapy. Thank you for being part of this TruceTalk family. I'm Lindsay. I'll see you soon.